This is Terrelyn Bauer, a 26-year-old mother of four who would be lured by her ex-wife to a party, then shoots her in the head. In the early hours of August 30, 2025, the Cincinnati Police Department rushed to the Millvale neighborhood, responding to reports of a shooting at the 2000 block of Millvale Court. What they discovered upon arrival was nothing short of horrifying. There, lying lifeless in the quiet aftermath of violence, was Terrelyn, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the head. Just hours earlier, she had been enjoying a night of celebration in a party, but she never knew that the woman who once held her heart, her ex-wife, would be the one to turn that evening into a death sentence. Lured to the party under false pretenses, Terrelyn was unaware that what awaited her wasn't laughter, music, or lighthearted fun, but the cold, unforgiving sting of betrayal. As she stepped into the space she thought would be filled with joy, she had no idea that within moments her ex-wife would pull the trigger, ending her life in a single brutal act. What could have pushed someone to commit such an unthinkable act of violence? What truly happened that night? Let's break down the chilling details and try to understand the events leading up to that fateful day. This is the life and death of Terrelyn Bauer.
I can't see my sister no more, so it's too hard to suffer.
Mare Robinson Luther, known as Mare to those close to her, had built a reputation for herself in both the local rap scene and the real estate business. While many knew her for her self-proclaimed persona of the baddest daddy, a mashup of stud and daddy that seemed more like a desperate attempt to inject toxic masculinity into the lesbian scene, but Mare's real life was far from glamorous. Her presence in the rap world had earned her admiration and respect, but behind the facade, Mare struggled with her own demons. Her social media was an open book of contradictions, an emotional roller coaster where she flitted between playing the cheated-on victim to bragging about her own infidelities. It was a dramatic cycle of public breakdowns and thinly veiled threats, like posts warning, known for her tough exterior and sharp wit, she kept much of her vulnerability hidden from those around her.
He don't look like him to me. Oh, I think I can start getting paid.
Okay, but it's like, it's the big smile, the nice hair, the dark skin, the wide, yes, it's everything. Like, they don't look alike, but their features are similar.
I don't know what I'm getting. Yes. She does say, is she hungry? You should be careful right here.
Her relationship with 29-year-old Terrelyn Bauer started like many others, full of promise and hope for a fresh start. Tara, a kind-hearted and loving woman, was drawn to Mare's energy, confident in her own way and looking for a partner who could match her ambition. The chemistry between them was undeniable in the beginning. Long nights spent talking about dreams, plans, and building a life together. However, as time passed, cracks began to show. The initial infatuation gave way to toxic patterns that Tara, unfortunately, couldn't see coming. Tara's struggles were compounded by her past, which had been filled with hardship and the weight of raising 4 children. But she was determined to break the cycle and create a stable future, not just for herself, but for her kids. At 29, Tara was finally beginning to get back on track. She had gone through a difficult journey, including surviving personal losses and rebuilding herself after leaving an abusive past. She was a survivor, and her tenacity made her a force to be reckoned with. She was bold, beautiful, and had a personality that turned heads wherever she went. Her love of the color pink was evident in everything she did, especially on her social media bio, which proudly declared, "If it's pink, it's me." She embraced life with a vibrancy that was infectious, and her sense of humor and caring nature drew people to her, including her children who adored her. But despite her resilience, Tara couldn't escape the grip of the toxic relationship she had found herself in. When she met Mare Robinson at the beginning of 2025, she believed that she had found someone who shared her values and was ready to be a loving partner. Even her family shared the same sentiment. They expressed their well wishes to Tara, happy that she had found someone like Mare. They appreciated that Mare seemed serious about the relationship, someone who wouldn't take things lightly. Tara, with a knowing smile, responded, "She don't play at all." But what began as a promising relationship soon turned into a nightmare. While on the surface, the two women appeared to be a picture-perfect couple, posting pictures, attending parties, and sharing intimate moments, it was clear that their relationship was far more complicated than what the public saw. Just like many couples, they had their fun and enjoyed the good times that came with being in a relationship. But as anyone who's been in a relationship knows, what's shared online doesn't always reflect the reality behind closed doors. The facade of happiness quickly began to crumble, revealing a much darker truth. Over time, Mare's behavior became more erratic and abusive. The relationship, instead of being a source of comfort, became an emotional battleground. Arguments escalated into screaming matches, with Mare's temper worsening, often crossing the line from verbal abuse to physical aggression. Yet, to outsiders, it looked like another dysfunctional couple working through their issues. Neighbors, friends, and social media followers dismissed the drama as another cycle of on-again, off-again fighting, something all too common in relationships plagued by manipulation. On August 18th, Tara celebrated her birthday in style. She and Mare enjoyed a night out at Jeff Ruby Steakhouse in Cincinnati, clinking glasses and smiling for photos, giving the world the impression that everything was fine. But this birthday would be the last fleeting moment of happiness before everything would take a dark turn. Less than 2 weeks later, their fragile peace came crashing down. On August 30, 2025, what should have been a lighthearted girls' night out would be the last normal evening Tara Lynn Bauer would ever experience. The event, a pajama-themed party, started as a carefree gathering among friends. Tara showed up in her slumberwear, carefree and full of energy, laughing and dancing as though nothing could bring her down. The room was filled with her vibrant presence as she twerked and moved to the beat, completely in the moment. Despite the chaos that had been lurking in the background, in that instant, she was untouchable, radiating confidence and joy, living life as though it was her last moment of freedom. But as soon as Mare entered, the mood shifted. She was visibly angry, and the lively atmosphere quickly turned cold. Her disruptive behavior was so palpable that it was hard for anyone to ignore. The once lively atmosphere shifted as the twerking slowed and the carefree laughter faded.
Why she talking about that girl her fatty? So that little Molly is bow, bow, yeah, bow. What? Call that nigga. Shake that ass. Well, baby, go get up there. Shay, show me how to do it. Hey, honey. Look at Mare, y'all. You drunk, Mare? Cause you don't scare me. Okay. Eric, why you ain't shaking that tutu? Look at her, she been fucked up. Cause I'm trying to be fucked up. She drunk as hell. Hey y'all, I don't know who on here. Hey, what it do? Say hello. Who you talking to? They not talking to me. I gotta talk to Yeah. Let me see your phone. I don't know that.
The Good Vibes Only banner seemed to droop in the corner, its message falling flat. It was as if the energy in the room had been drained in an instant. Whispers grew louder as people began pulling aside one by one, their voices tinged with concern and confusion as the dark cloud that seemed to follow her, dragging an ominous weight into a space that was once filled with light. Despite the concerns raised by friends at the party, Mare stayed, and by the end of that night, Tara and Mare had returned home together. But that is where the true horror unfolded. At home, an intense argument erupted between the two. Tara, feeling the pressure of months of manipulation and abuse, finally decided to leave. But Mare's manipulation wasn't finished. She convinced Tara to return, promising to resolve their issues peacefully. Tara, wanting to believe that things could work out, went back. Unfortunately, that decision would cost her life. As soon as Tara walked through the door, Mare shot her in the head, ending her life in an instant. The shooting was not the result of a spontaneous outburst, but a calculated act of violence. Tara collapsed and died on the spot, while Mare, the person Tara costed most, callously took her life. It was a tragic and senseless act that left Tara's family and loved ones reeling from the devastating loss. Tara's family was in utter shock and disbelief. Tara's sister, Adrienne Wilson, shared her anger and grief publicly. In a raw social media post, she called out Robinson for her role in Tara's death, stating, Adrienne further exposed the complexity of the relationship, revealing that there had been a pattern of jealousy and manipulation in Mare's behavior. She described Mare as a fraud. For months, Mare had crafted an image for herself, this realtor, this hustler, this get-goer. She portrayed herself as a boss, a woman who had it all together. Yet whispers behind her back hinted that the title of boss lady didn't quite align with her actual grind. But Adrienne had had enough of the illusions. Her grief burned like fire, and she was done holding back. She wanted the world to see Mare for what she truly was, a killer. Adrienne's final post was a heartbreaking outpouring of raw emotion and truth, a devastating final act of exposing the woman responsible for her sister's death.
Cincinnati woman who police say was shot and killed in Millvale, speaking out for the very first time. So this happened over the weekend on Millvale Court. Brittany Harry is live there with how the family wants her to be remembered. Brittany.
29-year-old Tara Lynn Bowers was allegedly shot and killed by her ex-girlfriend. I spoke to her sister today, who tells me that she really wishes that her sister would have stayed away from this ex-girlfriend. Now the family says that they want justice for their loved one who was taken too soon.
Still kind of don't feel real. She just leave behind 4 kids.
This is Tara Lynn Bowers, pictured with her 4 children who are now without their mother after Cincinnati police say Bowers was killed on Sunday in a shooting in Millvale. It happened at an apartment complex in the 2000 block of Millvale Court. The family held a balloon release at the complex on Monday.
I just know people were saying that as soon as she walked in the house, then they heard instantly, like it was just a couple of seconds afterwards.
In the wake of Tara's death, the community rallied around her family. They held a balloon release to commemorate Tara's life, with children clinging to the strings, releasing them into the sky as a symbol of the mother they would never see again. Her friends and family poured their grief into heartfelt messages, condemning the violence and the toxic relationship that led to this devastating outcome.
A mother, a daughter, and someone who friends say was just loved simply by everyone. Police say 29-year-old Tara Lynn Bowers was shot and killed in broad daylight. And tonight, friends and family gathered to remember and celebrate her life. Local 12's Chris Arnold was there, and a story you will see only on Local 12.
Like, she was the life of the party. Everybody loved her. She loved everybody.
She's just a lovable person, like literally. Like you can look at her as another big sister.
Dejanay Irvin says Terrell Bowers was her best friend.
She just got back in school for LPN. She was taking classes. She just got on track with her children.
Irvin says her best friend was a mother of 4 children, and things were on the up and up for her. But that all changed on Sunday. She says Bowers was in Millville to see Mare Luther.
Prior, they was in a relationship, I would say like towards the beginning of the year, like January, February, March and everything. But after March, it kind of went downhill with them.
Well, police say the shooting happened Sunday afternoon around 3:45 here on Millville Court near Beekman Street. They say Luther was arguing with Bowers before shooting and killing her. Luther was arrested and booked into the Hamilton County Justice Center. Police didn't say what the argument was about.
Mare Robinson, now arrested and facing charges of murder, attempted to justify her actions by claiming self-defense. However, her history of manipulative behavior, as well as the facts surrounding Tara's death, left little room for doubt. Mare had killed her ex-girlfriend in cold blood, and Tara's family demanded justice. The legal system, for once, seemed to move swiftly. Mare was denied bond due to the severity of her actions, sending a message to those who thought they could escape accountability.
Bowers had been in an argument with Mare Luther, according to court records. Bowers' sister, Adrienne Wilson, tells me Luther is Bowers' ex-girlfriend. She says the two were arguing over a situation that happened out of town. Wilson says her sister left, but then Luther asked her to come back. She did, and that's when Wilson says her sister was shot, according to Cincinnati police, in the head.
I can't see my sister no more, so it's too hard to suffer.
Bowers is described by her sister as a very happy, friendly person with an outgoing personality, someone with a bright future that was cut short.
Accused of her ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, so her attorney says it was self-defense.
Well, prosecutors say 25-year-old Mare Luther her ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old Terrell Bowers. And today in court, prosecutors argued for a high bond, saying the two women were in a verbal dispute that escalated to Bowers being shot and killed. They say the victim didn't have a firearm, only mace. There's no word on what led up to the argument. Luther pleaded not guilty to murder. Luther's attorney asked the judge to consider a bond of $100,000 at 10%. Her attorney says there's a lot more to this story and that Luther was defending herself.
I would just note again, she's got absolutely no history. She's lived in the area for her entire life. There's nothing to suggest that she is a flight risk. We would ask the court to consider a bond of $100,000 at 10%, and then obviously she can comply with any non-monetary conditions.
Well, Luther was not given a bond today.
As the case continues, the public is reminded of the dark realities of toxic relationships and the lengths to which some individuals will go to control and dominate others. Mare's desire for power and control, masked under the guise of love, ultimately led to the destruction of a life that was full of potential and promise. The legal battle continues, but for Tara's family, the loss is immeasurable. They are left to pick up the pieces of a life cut short, to care for her children who are now without their mother, and to fight for the justice that their loved one deserves. In the meantime, the grief remains, and the community of Cincinnati, forever changed by this tragic event, is left with the painful question: how could someone who claimed to love so deeply end a life in such a cold and brutal manner?
It was very senseless and careless. You just didn't care.
Irvin isn't letting the memory of her best friend fade away.
She had to do it by herself. So I just want her to know that I'm here, and I was here.
The support for Bowers wasn't hard to find. Candles were lit, flowers were in hand, and pink and white balloons, Bowers' favorite colors, surrounded the area where she lost her life. Celebrating a life gone too soon, and one Irvin wants people to never forget.
I want everybody to remember how good of a person she was. Just remember how she was always there for everybody. She was friendly. She had a heart, a good heart.
In the aftermath of Tara Bauer's tragic death, the case quickly became a symbol of the brutal consequences that can arise from toxic relationships and emotional manipulation. As the investigation continued, the details that emerged painted a haunting picture of how a seemingly normal relationship can spiral into violence, leaving those involved shattered and broken. Mare Robinson, once known for her tough, confident persona, now found herself behind bars. But the pain of Tara's family and friends only deepened. They had not only lost a beloved mother, sister, and friend, but they were now left to navigate the painful process of grieving while also fighting for justice. The public's reaction to the case was a mixture of disbelief and anger. Many shared Adrian's frustration, with some calling for more robust efforts to prevent domestic violence. They believed that if authorities, friends, and family had been more proactive in addressing the signs of abuse, perhaps Tara's life could have been saved. As the court proceedings continued, new revelations emerged about Robinson's personal history, providing insight into her abusive tendencies. Mare had built her persona on the idea of being tough and unbothered, which many saw as a defense mechanism against her own insecurities. Her baddest daddy persona was more than just a catchy label. It was a mask that concealed a much darker side. Mare's behavior had been flagged by friends and family members long before the tragedy occurred. She had a history of volatile relationships, many of which had been marred by jealousy, manipulation, and emotional abuse. While Mare's actions were a direct result of her own choices, they also shed a light on the larger issue of the glorification of toxic masculinity, even within LGBTQ relationships. Mare had taken on the role of the stood, a term used to describe a masculine-presenting lesbian, but her behaviors embodied the worst traits of toxic masculinity. Her actions reinforced harmful stereotypes, using violence and intimidation as a way to assert control. This toxic mindset not only hurt Tara, but also perpetuated a culture where unhealthy behaviors were normalized. While the legal system would eventually deliver its verdict, the trauma of Tara's death lingered in the hearts of those who loved her, and the family remained committed to making sure that justice was served, not just in the courtroom, but in the way society viewed and addressed toxic relationships. For Tara's children, the loss of their mother was devastating. They were now left with only memories of a woman who loved them deeply, but whose life was cruelly stolen away. Tara was on the verge of beginning a new chapter in her life. Nursing school was just within reach. She had dreams of making a difference, of building a future for herself and her children. But instead of stepping into that exciting new path, her children are left with a void. Now they are left not only with the unanswered questions of what could have been, but with a silence that echoes louder than any answer. They would never know the full extent of her strength and resilience, but her family vowed to keep her memory alive, fighting for justice in her name. Their grief was compounded by the fact that the woman who had killed Tara was someone Tara had loved and trusted. Yet, despite the pain and loss, the family held on to the hope that by fighting for justice, they could prevent this tragedy from repeating itself in someone else's life. Tara's family and loved ones held on to the memories of the woman Tara was before the toxicity of her relationship with Mare began to take its toll. Tara had always been the life of the party, a mother full of love for her 4 children, a daughter who was cherished by her parents, and a sister who would always stand up for the people she loved. The family was adamant that Tara's life shouldn't be defined by the final tragic moments, but by her love, her resilience, and the incredible bond she had with her children. But the family's grief was only amplified by the fact that they felt robbed, not just of Tara, but also of the chance to intervene and save her from what they knew was a dangerous relationship. Tara's story is not just a tale of betrayal. It is a painful reminder of the dangers that can lurk within toxic relationships. It underscores the importance of recognizing red flags, supporting those in abusive situations, and advocating for justice when the unthinkable happens. May Tara Lynn Bowers rest in peace, secure in the love that surrounds her, and knowing that her family will relentlessly pursue justice on her behalf. Her story, far greater than any ego, will live on and be heard, a legacy that cannot be overshadowed. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.